It was December 1997. A movie about a lying old lady was at the top of the box office. Famed coach Pat Riley was unable to bring the Islanders another Super Bowl victory, and Mike Tyson was still chewing on Evander Holyfield's ear. But I didn't care about any of that. It was winter break, school was out, and my mom had just taken my brother to Blockbuster Video to rent some games and bring him back for the break. Now I've forgotten more things than I care to remember, but one thing I'll never forget is the day that my brother would make a choice that would change my life forever. Oh, the irony. He really wasn't into reading, and me, I was the exact opposite. I enjoyed a good book, so when he walked into the room, threw this game at me and said, "Here, you can play this. This game sucks. It's too much reading," I thought. Maybe it'd be right up my alley. So I loaded it up, but after watching the intro sequence, I felt a lot like Shania Twain.
That don't impress me much.
I really didn't know much about Final Fantasy. I just felt like the opening sequence was a bit lackluster. It wasn't until I actually chose New Game and hit X that I would see how wrong that I was. I was so impressed with the opening title sequence, with the initial bombing mission, the characters that you interact with, the scale and size of the bosses that you fought, the fighting systems themselves, the limit breaks. Everything about this game was fun. So much so that hours later I was running around Walmart doing squats trying to win a wig so that Cloud could dress up like a woman and save Tifa's life. It was just incredible. I was having the time of my life as a kid, and so when I finally got to Don Corneo's pet and he hit me with that sewer tsunami, I went from feeling the high joys of this game to the crushing lows when, all of a sudden, everything faded to black. The game over screen appeared and I heard that sad jingle. It was the first time I had ever died in the game, and it was an experience that I wouldn't soon forget. I should take this time to point out, I was playing without a memory card, so every time I died or turned off the system, I had to start from the beginning. You think Souls-like games are hard? Try playing Final Fantasy VII without a memory card. Every chance that I had, I would run from battles, which only made the enemy stronger and my characters weaker due to lack of XP. I ran so far away. I just ran. I grew to both hate and fear random battles because of the pressure put on me. With every stab, every blast, I was drowned in a deluge of panic waiting for the end to come as my HP dwindled fight after fight, but I knew I couldn't let it overtake me. I had to press on. And with one final slice, I overcame apps. But I knew one thing, the feeling would get worse because what came next was uncharted territory. It was the night before the game had to be returned and I didn't sleep. By morning, I watched as Cloud and company burst forth from Shinra headquarters, careening down the highway in a cutscene that I would later record with the VCR and watch over and over again. Defeating Motorball left me thinking that the game was almost over. Although there were 2 discs left, I didn't think there was much of a story remaining to be told. I had defeated Shinra, so what else could possibly happen? The planet seemed to be safe. It wasn't until the next scene on the highway and subsequently leaving Midgar that I realized this game is just getting started and I need to know where it goes from here. Even though I had to return the game, I knew that I wanted to one day own it because it was different from any other game that I had played in the past. I didn't get it that Christmas, but I did get it for Three Kings Day, and having a memory card changed everything. It led to the fever that would follow me for years.
I got a fever!
Junior high school, I was all about Final Fantasy VII. Heck, I drew a mural dedicated to the game on my bedroom wall. Weekend after weekend, my boy Juan would come over and we'd draw and paint on the wall listening to Batanga radio on the computer. You remember that, Juan? I had an obsession with this game because it meant so much to me. I had never been moved to tears by a game before, and it would be years until I'd experienced that again. In the years that followed, the fever increased with the release of the PS3 technical demo, Advent Children, we scored the last 2 copies at Best Buy, and Dirge of Cerberus. It was okay for its time. The fever didn't stop, but was increased by those around me. When I met my wife, she not only supported the fever, but offered to help me sculpt characters too. It was no surprise that when the trailer for Remake launched, I knew I wanted to do something special to commemorate its release. Being a toy photographer, I decided to get out my Play Arts figures and recreate some scenes. When the countdown reached 7 days until release, I uploaded a photo each day in anticipation of the reunion. For those counting, there's only 5. You can check out the other 2 on my Instagram. Link is in the description. When Bring Arts announced that they would be releasing 6-inch scale Final Fantasy VII figures based on Nomura's character designs, I knew 2 things. 1, I had to buy them, and I was going to use them to usher in the next installment of Final Fantasy VII. I just needed a plan, so I sat down and got to work.
Do it. Do it.
Inspiration struck. What if I custom made different enemies from the game's long roster, and not just the popular ones but the unmemorable ones as well? This way when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launches, I'd be ready with loads of toy photography that looked like it was ripped straight out of OG FF7. With excitement fueling me, I was roaring to get started. It was June of 2022, then it happened. I got sick. A viral infection that turned into bronchitis, which set off my asthma. It made life difficult. Something as simple as doing dishes left me out of breath and reaching for the pump. I couldn't do much without requiring a breathing treatment, and so I stayed in bed a lot and watched loads of YouTube. That's when I came across Studson's studio and watched his sweeper video. His creativity, ingenuity, and humor filled me with inspiration. I binged through all of his content and as a result stumbled on the channels of other great artists such as North of the Border, Dr. Toys, The Craftsman, and Boylai Hobby Time, to name a few. In 6 months I was on so many meds it seemed like the doctor was throwing them at me to see what stuck. Tired of not getting better, I sought a more natural approach. 3 weeks of taking 1 pill per night and I went from feeling like I could barely breathe to feeling like my old self again. In one word, it was
tremendous.
Now I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, so this isn't me encouraging you to do what I did. I'm simply telling you guys what I went through and what worked for me. That doesn't mean you'll get the same results, and the last thing I want is someone thinking, Bodega Joe said I should stop using my asthma pump and use some pills he found off the internet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not giving anyone medical advice, so if you ditch your pump and start using the pills and go blind or deaf or catch a case of rickets, that's on you. Don't come blaming me if your health gets worse because you're looking at me like I'm some medical sage who has secret wisdom that'll cure your smas. The fact is, I spent months working with my pulmonologist, tracking and logging my asthma and the efficacy of the meds I was put on. When I chose to stop using my meds and start using the pills, she was well aware of it, and so everything I did in tandem with medical supervision. 8 months after getting sick, I was ready. I got up and got to crafting. The first thing I built was the Airbuster. Having been inspired by the massive builds of Stutson using trash, I knew I had to go big on my first outing, and I did. It was something unlike anything I had ever built. A combination of trash and a few 3D printed parts. That was just the beginning. I went on to make my own sweeper figure, which I'll be making a video for when I redesign it more to scale with the Bring Arts figures. Bomb was next, and ideas for future enemies are ready to be crafted. It's a great time to be a Final Fantasy VII fan, and I look forward to documenting the crafting journey to Rebirth and beyond. Although I will be making Final Fantasy VII crafts for the foreseeable future, I do have plans to tackle other well-known properties such as
Metal Gear.
Join me on this journey. The lights are on, the doors are open. Welcome to Bodega Joe's custom studio.